Hi, everybody. Hi, Faye and Angela, Deb, welcome. Glad to be with you today. Good morning from Bali. And hello from planet Earth, where we are all residing. Yeah, I was just getting ready for our session. We are going to be diving into the work of Byron Katie, one of my favorite tools to facilitate freedom from suffering. So we will, dive deeper into that. And also we'll give a few minutes for people to gather and join. Hi, Ginger, Jessica, Marsha. Welcome. Basically, the intention of the work is to free yourself from suffering. And the only reason we suffer is from believing our thoughts. Hi, Rose, Mark, Andrea. Would anybody challenge that? I'm curious. That the only cause of suffering is believing thoughts and stories about something. Another way to look at that would be being in resistance, which I say that often, or having judgments. They're all similar, just with a slightly different lens. I'm curious if anyone believes that there's another reason that people suffer. It looks like Spirit's wanting to just dive right the fuck in. The reason I say that is because I have been greatly causing myself suffering from my thoughts in the past couple days and this morning. Mark, nerve endings. I'm going to make an assumption. You mean something physical felt in the body? Can you elaborate? Yeah. So my definition of suffering is different from experiencing a physical sensation that is unpleasant. The suffering is the beliefs, the thoughts, the stories, the resistance, the judgments on top of the actual physical sensation. That's a great point and a logical place to go. Ooh, look at the chicken. Rooster Joy right there. Hi, Amy. So I've been listening to Michael Singer. He always gets my head right. Welcome, Danny. So this is all in perfect timing. Byron Katie, the work, also deals in realms of, this topic. Which, this is not a beginner's spiritual topic. This is not for beginners. Because it really is challenging. It can be challenging if somebody's identified with their suffering and having certain concepts and ideas of the world. Very succinct point, Ginger. Yeah. So, yeah, I noticed my mind was lost in suffering this morning because it's hard to say. I wasn't totally identified with the thoughts that were creating the suffering because I could see what happened. And I feel like if this talk resonates with you, if this topic resonates, if I resonate with you, you have a certain level of awareness as well, where it's like painfully aware. Painfully aware. Hi, Tony. So it's not like ignorance is bliss. It's like, okay, there's thoughts, we're totally identified, or we're just believing them and we're seeing that we're believing them. For me, I found it difficult to separate the energy, the momentum of energy in JE. Hello. Yes, we can go into the physical reasons, why there's suffering. And that's basically what happened to me. It's like if we're able to have enough presence when that first thought comes, or that first couple thoughts, or that first sensation of the pain body, of the resistance, of the samskara, and we can be present enough with it before it gains a bunch of momentum, it's easier. For me, I didn't choose to work at that level. And it's a process of, evolving, growing, learning. And I went into old patterns of just allowing it, allowing that same old energy, patterns, stories. I just allowed it. And then I felt like I was lost in it. And all the while, I'm from seeing that from back here. And I feel like that's even more painful. So what I did was I did meditate. I saw the call to surrender. I saw the call to let go. I saw what was happening. I wasn't able or willing. I mean, it's all a matter of choice in the end. To muster up enough presence to really be with it. And so I chose to go out and drive my motorbike and go to a nice place I like to have coffee and work. And guess what? It changed my state. Great. The next level is that we don't distract. So I'm still a humaning here. Another way that I've been working with myself, and I'm just letting this flow because it's here and it also is very on topic for what we're discussing today. How many of you can relate to when you get into that state and you get lost or almost lost or just in suffering? And for me, and I'm wanting to know if anyone else has this, it's like there's no compassion. It's just this like harshness and contraction energy. And it's like I intellectually know a lot of things. And when that state comes, not to say it's impossible, and it can be difficult to access the knowledge. So it's like I see, oh, here's a call for compassion, but I don't feel it. What's wrong with me? You can't do it. Judgment. There's something wrong. Isn't it interesting? So I was working with all of this 2 days ago, and something new, or I don't know if it's not new, but what came in was there's a part that feels this way. It's little Natalie that's in pain and hurting. She's suffering. And I just started talking to that part and like, it's okay. I'm here for you. We're here. You're not alone. You can feel however you want. I'm here. It's okay, sweetie. It's okay. I'm here for you. That simple recognition and soothing of like, I'm here, really softened that contracted energy, and there was compassion that was able to come as a result. And that can come from childhood wounds where there was that experience and there was no parental figure to soothe. And so, as children, if y'all can relate to this, we're just left with, that abandonment, rejection, lack of safety. Because we weren't parented in that moment. So here it is again. There it was again. It came up. So I saw that and I recognized it, and then I was able to step in and be that parent energy that I did not receive, and tell that part, you're not alone. It's okay to feel however you feel. There's nothing wrong. It's okay. I'm here for you. We're in this together. And as y'all even hear this, is there some sense, is there like a sense of relief for anyone that you might be in a similar energy? So that's self-soothing. These wounds, they're never going to go away until we deal with them. The energy that I'm describing, how I experience it for myself, And y'all, we all have our own version of whatever that is. How long has that been going on? For me, and that's part of the harsh judgment that comes in, is like, I've been fucking dealing with this my whole life. I'm sick of it. So then that part, probably the rebellious teenage Natalie that's sick of it, comes in. And it's like, this again? It's like, yeah, this again, because it's, from Michael Singer's perspective, it's coming up because it's ready to be healed. And everything and everyone outside of us, when it hits our stuff, is just simply a messenger. And what happens when these wounds get activated is that wounded part then looks at the person, usually, that was the messenger bringing, the thing that hit our stuff. And we just go into, why did you do that? I wish it was different. Anger, resentment, blame, then victimhood. And we go into this helpless state, helpless and powerless and victim, because we regress into this child who was. And I noticed that. The mind continually wanting to look at outside of me, argue with the reality, wanting it to be different so that I can feel better. And that will never work, ever, ever, ever. The only way out of this is through. I just started working with this husband and wife life coaches that are here in Bali. And we're working in these realms. And I noticed that wounded child wanting to stamp her foot and be like, really? Like, I just have to do this again? Like, I thought you were going to give me some new shiny tool or technique or something I didn't know. It's like, nope. You've got to feel it to heal it. At some point in our spiritual journey, we reach this place, and it's like, we say we want, evolution and to live our purpose and to be, our best versions of ourselves. Well, then the universe and the world and source and whatever, higher self, however you want to call it, law of attraction, is trying to give us what we say we want. And it's easy to go into, but no, this is the thing that's causing my suffering. If this would just go away and be taken care of, then I'd be happy, and then they would give me what I want. But what if this actual thing that looks like the huge fucking problem is the doorway to the freedom on the other side? So Michael Singer says, when this stuff comes up, to throw at a party. Whew. Throw at a party. Yes. They said that thing again, or they did or didn't do this or that again. Throw at a party. I forgot about throwing at a party this morning, y'all, and that's okay. Bless my heart. So, the suffering is here to help us, to lead us to everything we say we've wanted. Conversations with God. You know, I'm reading chapter 8 on relationships every day, the parts that I've highlighted. And it just, what I'm hammering into my head is only focus on yourself. It doesn't matter what the other person is doing, not doing, saying, not saying, showing up. It doesn't matter. Focus only on the self. How am I feeling? What am I experiencing? What do I want? What am I thinking? It's so easy when we regress into that state, we're all consumed with the other. Because again, it comes from childhood wounds, that it's about survival, and that parent figure, or the parent, whoever, we needed to live with their help. So it's this retraining of, it doesn't matter about them. It doesn't mean we don't stand up for ourselves and make boundaries and all that stuff. And if you notice you're arguing with reality about the other person, bring it back to, how am I feeling? Thank you. Hi, Blossom Violet. Thank you for the donation. Welcome, Laura, April. Yeah. Whew. So this is all in line with Byron Katie, by the way. We're just going to use a bit of a different lens when we go into her teachings, which we will do now. If you are new to me, please say hello. If you don't know who Byron Katie is, please let me know. If you don't know what the work is, let me know and you will find out. Please give me a follow here on Insight Timer. I just passed 3,500. So lovely milestone of followers. So thank you all. Please give a donation if you find this valuable and helpful. My replays will be up afterwards. I'm on socials, all that stuff. There's a few more days, actually a week, to join my money mindset program. We're going to be changing our financial lives by overcoming under-earning. If you're an under-earner, this is for you. If you don't even know what that means and you hear that word and you're like, oh my God, I know that's me, then this is for you. So reach out, send me a message. Hi, Leslie. Awesome. So I've talked about this before in live streams. And what I want to do today is, so she has free resources, Byron Katie, on her website, thework.com. So if you want these free resources, you can go there. I can send them to you as well. Send me a message. You want to get the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. You want to get the instructions on the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, and you want to get the Little Booklet. Thank you, J.E. I'm glad this was helpful. Hi, Jeff. So, where I wanted to start was by reading some of the Little Booklet and just starting from there, because it gives a foundation of what this actually is. And it's, it's very well written and clear to give you a framework of what this is all about. I mean, what I've shared has been like my own lens, and it's all about freedom from suffering that comes from believing our thoughts. And she has this process. So If you have the little booklet and you want to follow along, great. We're just going to start at the beginning. Oh, Jeff, that's a great one. Yep. Throw the thoughts that are judging the story. Throw that experience of suffering in the body, the sensations a party. And after that, if you want to throw the neighbor a party, go ahead. So, and I'm reading from my phone. So Byron Katie starts out saying, no one can give you freedom, but this little book will show you how, this little booklet. So this booklet presents the essence of the work of Byron Katie. It's a way to identify and question the thoughts that create all the suffering in the world. It's a way to find peace with yourself and with the world. Anyone with an open mind can do this work. An open mind is required because what you're going to see, this is going to challenge stuff that the mind feels justified in arguing about and with. But they did this. That's not okay, no matter what. Then you have a closed mind and there's nowhere to go. So you're going to continue to suffer. If your mind is even open, 0.0001%, that's a start. So how this began, Byron Kathleen Reed became severely depressed while in her 30s. Over a 10-year period, her depression deepened, and for the last 2 years, Katie, as she's called, was seldom able to leave her bedroom. Then one morning, from the depths of despair, she experienced a life-changing realization. Katie saw that when she believed her thoughts, she suffered, and that when she didn't believe her thoughts, she didn't suffer. What had been causing her depression was not the world around her, but what she believed about the world around her. In a flash of insight, she saw that our attempt to find happiness was backward. Instead of hopelessly trying to change the world to match our thoughts about how it should be, we can question these thoughts and by meeting reality as it is, experience unimaginable freedom and joy. As a result, a bedridden, suicidal woman became filled with love for everything life brings. Can anyone relate to her? So this person things were not well in her world. She wasn't at the top of her game. She was in terrible suffering, suicidal, couldn't leave her bed, couldn't leave her room. And those, of course, as I always say, the people that have those stories are the ones that inspire us the most. She's speaking from experience. Hi, Sandra. So any of you, if you're hearing this now or in the replay, you feel depressed, you feel suicidal, whatever, insert disclaimers here. Or you feel like hopeless that, it can't help you, or you're beyond help, or you're beyond hope, but you don't know my problem, but this didn't happen to you. This is an invitation of, that there is a solution and a way out. If you have an open mind, if you want to stay in the problem and argue for your limitations and argue for why you are the way you are, then you can have that and you can continue to have your results in the life that you have. If you want something different, then this is an invitation for you. Katie developed a simple yet powerful method of inquiry called the work that showed people how to free themselves. Her insight into the mind is consistent with leading-edge research in cognitive neuroscience, and the work's been compared to the Socratic dialogue, Buddhist teachings, and 12-step programs. But Katie developed her method without any knowledge of religion or psychology. The work is based purely on one woman's direct experience of how suffering is created and ended. It is astonishingly simple, accessible to people of all ages and backgrounds, and requires nothing more than a pen and paper and a willingness to open the mind. Katie saw right away that giving people her insights or answers was of little value. Instead, she offers a process that can give people their own answers. The first people exposed to her work reported the experience was transformational, and she soon began receiving invitations to teach the process publicly. Since 1986, she's introduced the work to millions of people around the world. In addition to public events, she's done the work in corporations, universities, schools, churches, prisons, and hospitals. Katie's joy and humor immediately put people at ease, and the deep insights and breakthroughs that participants quickly experience make the events captivating. Since 1998, she's directed the School for the Work. Blah, 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 blah. So this is just sharing her offerings. I have been to a live event. Has anybody else been live with Byron Katie? So Sandra realized you were giving your power away by being a victim. Yeah. And it is shadow work if you see it that way. That's true, Laura. So you watch her lives, Jessica. Awesome. So yeah, she's very active online. And you can even submit your judge your neighbor worksheet. You can try and go live with her, yeah. So if you resonate with this, she's very present. So what is take this in now comes the teachings. The only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. When the mind is perfectly clear, what is what we want. If you want reality to be different than it is, you might as well try to teach a cat to bark. You can try and try, and in the end, the cat will look up at you and say meow. Wanting reality to be different than it is hopeless. Yeah, me too. I feel a little emotion here because, what I've described about my experience has been very active, so, which is good. If that hits, this is good. Wanting reality to be different than it is hopeless. Exactly. And yet, if you pay attention, you'll notice that you believe thoughts like this dozens of times a day. People should be kinder. Children should be well behaved. My husband or wife should agree with me. I should be thinner or prettier or more successful. These thoughts are ways of wanting reality to be different than it is. If you think that this sounds depressing, you're right. All the stress that we feel is caused by arguing with what is. People new to the work often say to me, but it would be disempowering to stop my argument with reality. If I simply accept reality, I'll become passive. I may even lose the desire to act. I answer them with a question. Can you really know that that's true? Which is more empowering? I wish I hadn't lost my job, or I lost my job. What intelligent solutions can I find right now? The work reveals that what you think shouldn't have happened should have happened. It should have happened because it did happen, and no thinking in the world can change it. This doesn't mean that you condone it or approve of it. It just means that you can see things without resistance and without the confusion of your inner struggle. No one wants their children to get sick. No one wants to be in a car accident. But when these things happen, how can it be helpful to mentally argue with them? We know better than to do that, yet we do it because we don't know how to stop. I am a lover of what is, not because I'm a spiritual person, but because it hurts when I argue with reality. We can know that reality is good just as it is because when we argue with it, we experience tension and frustration. We don't feel natural or balanced. When we stop opposing reality, action becomes simple, fluid, kind, and fearless. Is this hitting anyone's stuff? Danny said it hit. So, Laura, it's not about not taking action. It's about clearing up your stuff and then taking an action, which Michael Singer says this, and I say this all the time. If we're in a place of suffering, arguing with reality, and then we go out here and try to do that so that we can feel better, Singer says we're creating karma in the world. And that's temporary, and it's not healing or really creating, it's not a solution. When we work with ourselves and then we see what action to take or not take from that place of clarity, from not needing something to be different, we may or may not take the same action. The energy in which we take it will be different. Hi, we've got 2 Aprils here. Yes, it's frustrating. Hi, Heather. Yeah, so staying in your own business. I can only find 3 kinds of business in the universe: mine, yours, and God's. For me, the word God means reality. Reality is God because it rules. Anything that's out of my control, your control, and everyone else's control, I call that God's business. Much of our stress comes from mentally living out of our own business. When I think, you need to get a job, I want you to be happy, you should be on time, you need to take better care of yourself, I'm in your business. When I'm worried about earthquakes, floods, war, or when I will die, I'm in God's business. If I am mentally in your business or God's business, the effect is separation. I noticed this early in 1986. When I mentally went into my mother's business, for example, with a thought like, my mother should understand me, I immediately experienced a feeling of loneliness. And I realized that every time in my life that I had felt hurt or lonely, I had been in someone else's business. If you are living your life and I am mentally living your life, who is here living mine? We're both over there. Being mentally in your business keeps me from being present in my own. I'm separate from myself, wondering why my life doesn't work. To think that I know what's best for anyone else is to be out of my business. Even in the name of love, it's pure arrogance, and the result is tension, anxiety, and fear. Do I know what's right for me? That's my only business. Let me work with that before I try to solve your problems for you. If you understand the 3 kinds of business enough to stay in your own business, it could free your life in a way you can't even imagine. The next time you're feeling stress or discomfort, ask yourself whose business you're in mentally, and you may burst out laughing. That question can bring you back to yourself. And you may come to see that you've never really been present, that you've been mentally living in other people's business all your life. Just to notice that you're in someone else's business can bring you back to your own wonderful self. And if you practice it for a while, you may come to see that you don't have any business either, and that your life runs perfectly well on its own. So I bring that into my life coaching often when it comes up. Whose business are you in? The Serenity Prayer definitely comes to mind. Codependency. Hi, Tawana. Yeah. So whose business are you in? And see, when we're suffering and then we're like mentally arguing with somebody else or a situation to do with somebody else, that's what I was just saying before, right? We need to get back, focus on ourselves over and over and over again. And that's what Conversations with God says. Focus on the self. What is the self doing? How am I feeling? What am I thinking? So I love how these teachings, they all are so interlinked because it's truth. Hi, Mishi. Meeting your thoughts with understanding. A thought is harmless unless we believe it. A thought is harmless unless we believe it. How true is that? It's not our thoughts, but the attachment to our thoughts that causes suffering. Attaching to a thought means believing it's true without inquiring. A belief is a thought we've been attaching to often for years. Most people think they are what their thoughts tell them they are. One day I noticed that I wasn't breathing. I was being breathed. Then I also noticed to my amazement that I wasn't thinking, that I was actually being thought, and that the thinking isn't personal. Do you wake up in the morning and say to yourself, I think I won't think today? It's too late. You're already thinking. Thoughts just appear. They come out of nothing and go back to nothing like clouds moving across the empty sky. They come to pass, not to stay. There's no harm in them until we attach to them as if they were true. No one has ever been able to control their thinking, although people may tell the story of how they have. I don't let go of my thoughts. I meet them with understanding. Then they let go of me. So I had the idea, and the way I've done this live stream topic before is that we actually like work with a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet and work with the actual work, which is a process. And also I'm feeling like this is the way to go with this because these are very deep and powerful truths. So what we're going to do is, and I love how just things unfold, is that this little booklet is like not super long. We won't get through it today because we're already almost finished today. But what my intention is that I'm going to bring this into our schedule of live streams because we've got 2 other book studies going on, and we're going to add this one to the mix. And this will be briefer with Conversations with God and with There's Nothing Wrong with You. We've been doing these for like 6 months. And that's great. It's a perfect process. And also we're going to do this, and it will be a bit different and not so long because it's a little booklet. And then we're going to do the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. So if if you're liking this and you want a copy of what I'm reading, you can go to her website. You can send me a message. I will send you, there's 3 resources to send this book that I'm reading from. So, hi May. This is called The Little Booklet by Byron Katie, and it's page 9 in the PDF. And yeah, let's do that. We'll go from there. And I also do have an intention to create meeting for these book series at the same time every week for consistency, so that those of, and I know so many of you come every time, and also it feels like a nice next step to, make it the same time every week. I will just feel into that and see my schedule and do my best. But yeah, if y'all want to, make sure you don't miss this live, send me a private message if it's really important to you, about timing, what your preferences for schedule are. I can't accommodate everyone, but hey, I'll do my best. And the same with the Convos with God and the Nothing Wrong with You. So, and if you are new and you want to be in on all this, just give me a follow here, give a donation if you'd like, follow me on socials. The replays for all of these are up on my channel, and I have playlists. So I'll make a new playlist for this, to where then if you miss any, you can come back and review them. So, yeah, Heather, there's lots of good info on her site, free resources. Let's see. So, Nicole, I love that you brought this in about your brother. This is a great thing to do the work on, the worksheet on. Her site is thework.com. Great, J.E. This is a good time for you. So, what I would say, and I'm just going to offer feedback, Nicole, since you're bringing this in, and this is great. Take it or leave it. You don't want to be in your brother's business, but you have to be there for your nieces. You don't have to do anything, number one. You can choose to, and then you're choosing, and it's an empowered choice. The second thing is, I'm in my brother's business since he is my only brother. There's another thought to challenge. Just because he's your only brother doesn't mean that you have to be in his business either. So those two attachments there of like, I should be there because he's my brother, I should be there for my nieces because they're my nieces. There's places where you can come back into your own business there. There's places even there where you can do the work. It might be, so if you look at doing the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, which comes after the teachings that we're learning here, what you basically do is judge the neighbor, the wife, or the brother, or your brother. She should or shouldn't ABC. The wife that he's divorcing. And I would invite you to take away psychopath. That's giving energy, and that's a judgment. And no matter if it's diagnosably true or not, that judgment creates suffering. So, my brother's wife should or shouldn't ABC, doing the worksheet on that will bring you freedom. And it doesn't mean anything needs to change outside of you. You can still show up for your nieces. You can still be in your brother's life. So this is getting a bit deeper into it, but you can see some ways to be with this. So Thoughts are like the breeze or the leaves on the trees or the raindrops falling. They appear like that, and through inquiry, we can make friends with them. Would you argue with a raindrop? Raindrops aren't personal, and neither are thoughts. Once a painful concept is met with understanding, the next time it appears, you may find it interesting. What used to be the nightmare is now just interesting. The next time it appears, you may find it funny. The next time, you may not even notice it. This is the power of loving what is. So if you even look at the thoughts, if y'all have judgments and stories that you're noticing as we're being in this conversation, the thoughts aren't personal. The raindrop lands on your neck, then you are in resistance to that raindrop, resisting that it hit your neck. That's the suffering. The stories about it hitting your neck and that it's cold and what that means. The resistance, the judgment, the stories, it shouldn't have happened. Reality without the stories is I would even say the icy cold. The raindrop hit my back. That's reality. Amazing, Nicole. I'm gonna get deep with you here. You have chosen to scar your own soul for the past 23 years. I love that you're showing up to play. Then you're ready. You're ready to do the work if you can take that in and not get pissed and be open. So, yeah, there's an invitation for freedom here. A lot of freedom. And I love your courage and openness to be willing and open to look. Tawana, yes, these are recorded and going to be on my channel outside of here. So if you want to know where it is, send me a private message. So now we're going to get into, from me reading this little booklet, the next topic in this booklet is putting the mind on paper. So now we're getting into a bit more of the actual process of what do we do with all this stuff. Putting the mind on paper. The first step in the work is to identify the thoughts that are causing your stress and to write them down. These thoughts can be about any situation in your life, past, present, or future, about a person you dislike or worry about, someone who angers, frightens, or saddens you, or someone you're ambivalent or confused about. Write your judgments down just the way you think them. Use short, simple sentences. This is where the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet comes in that I've been telling you about, that I can send you if you send me a message. For thousands of years, we've been taught not to judge, but let's face it, we still do it all the time. The truth is that we all have judgments running in our heads. Through the work, we finally have permission to let those judgments speak out or even scream out on paper. We may find that even the most unpleasant thoughts can be met with unconditional love. She also has an app, the Work app, so you can do it in your phone as well. She advocates for pen on paper as being the best way. So, thank you, Tawana, for the donation. So, be thinking about somebody you want to do this work on. Nicole, it sounds like you've got somebody, and everybody in here listening does, if they say it or not. Don't do it on yourself. I know where some of your minds are going, and that's okay, but we have enough self-judgment and self-hatred. No. we're doing the judge your neighbor on somebody else. I encourage you to write about someone whom you haven't yet totally forgiven and someone you still resent. This is the most powerful place to begin. Even if you've forgiven the person 99%, you aren't free until your forgiveness is complete. The 1% you haven't forgiven that person is the very place where you are stuck in all your other relationships, including your relationship with yourself. So that's why you don't do it on yourself, because when you do it on others, you automatically are working with yourself. I'm so excited for you, Nicole. I mean, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, or the messenger. I'm not the teacher necessarily, but the messenger for the teaching. If you begin by pointing the finger of blame outward, then the focus isn't on you. You can just let loose and be uncensored. We're quite often sure about what other people need to do, how they should live, whom they should be with. We have 20/20 vision about other people, but not about ourselves. When you do the work, you see who you are by seeing who you think other people are. Eventually, you come to see that everything outside is a reflection of your own thinking. You're the storyteller, the projector of all stories, and the world is a projected image of your thoughts. Since the beginning of time, people have been trying to change the world so they can be happy. This hasn't ever worked because it approaches the problem backward. What the work gives us is a way to change the projector, the mind, rather than the projected. It's like when there's a piece of lint on a projector's lens. We think there's a flaw on people on the screen, and we try to change this person and that person, whomever the flaw appears on next. But it's futile to try and change the projected images. Once we realize where the lint is, we can clear the lens itself. This is the end of suffering and the beginning of a little joy in paradise. Bam. So we're going to stop there for today. And as I said earlier, I feel like this is like a little mini series of lives unfolding. So if you want to dive deeper with this, if this is calling to you, send me a message. I'll send you the free details with the what I'm reading, the instructions for the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet, the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet. And then next time, which I will look at seeing about availability, like setting this up the same time next week, as well as the other lives I mentioned. So next time, we're actually going to get into filling in the worksheet. So if you want to do this, get these materials, fill out your worksheet before we meet again for this. And then next time we're going to jump into the instructions for filling it in. And we'll kind of see, then that way you can have something to work with, that you've tried it on your own. And then you can get a bit of feedback, support, guidance here. I also am happy to offer, for those of you who haven't worked with me before or had a call with me, I am happy to offer a gifted session with you, one-on-one with me, where I will facilitate a worksheet with you. So even just in the little bit here, and thank you, Nicole, for your willingness to be an example for you're speaking for what everybody, a lot of people are thinking here as far as your example. So, bringing that truth, helping to do the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet one-on-one, I'm happy to offer that and facilitate that. So that's going to be about, challenging our thinking, dismantling it, doing the work around it, the actual process, which we haven't even gone into yet, what the steps are. So it consists of 4 questions and then turnarounds. So once you do the judgments and write those out, then we look at the questions and the turnarounds to help detach from the thoughts. So, yeah, great. Send me a message and we'll start there next time. Give me a follow if you care to and you don't already. Give a donation if this was valuable. Join my group here in Insight Timer, Natalie's Healing Circle, where we can stay in touch outside of the live streams. Check out all my meditations here. I've got free ones and a couple premium ones now. So lots of resources. And again, an FYI on my money mindset program that's starting in a week from today. If you are ready to change your financial life and go from being broke to and feeling like you're a victim to it to being in bliss and creating your abundance, send me a message. We're going to be using the very powerful book Overcoming Under-Earning as our curriculum. So if you're ready, it's not for everybody. It's only if you're ready to do the work, just like this. Like, you've got to be ready to challenge these thoughts. If you're ready to change your finances, then reach out. Interesting, Nicole. So I would definitely recommend to you and others to join in my book series, live book series on There's Nothing Wrong with You. Because that example that you noticed about being at the funeral and judging, do you see there that on top of the judgment, like, you're judging yourself as wrong, right? So, and I also have that book available on PDF. You can send me a message. So the name of the book is There's Nothing Wrong with You. So I invite you to that idea. Heather, taking a meditation teacher training. Awesome. Yeah. And Eckhart Tolle, he endorses Byron Katie often in his talks. Yeah. Hi, Britt, Nikki. So, yeah, we're working at the deepest layers here, y'all. So as I said in the beginning, like, this is not for beginners. Yeah. We're all on this journey. We're all awakening. We're all doing our best. There's nothing wrong with us. And also, when we get into the stories, believing the thoughts, identifying, causing ourselves suffering, it can feel very real. Yeah, so 11 a.m. here in Bali. Beautiful. And it's one thing to have the concepts and have the knowledge. It's another thing to actually, when that moment comes, as I've described in the beginning, if you've been here since the beginning, of like, I've been creating suffering by believing thoughts, and this morning especially. And I mean, it's been going on a couple days off and on. But that's the moment when, as Nicole shared, like, they're at the funeral, they are judging and they feel they can't feel the sadness. That's the moment of, like, I'm trying to think of a big enough word, of like enlightenment, or the spiritual, like, why we practice, why we learn, why we do meditation, why we're learning and reading and doing all of this and in Insight Timer all the time. for that moment. And nobody can be with you in that moment except you. Michael Singer has some amazing talks on that it takes the highest level of commitment to overcome yourself and to free yourself, because it can feel so compelling, especially when we let it go and we let our thoughts go and we go back into the stories and the judgments, and then the pain body's activated and the suffering is all we can see. It's not about if it's possible, it's about how bad do we want it. And I had that thought too last night when I was walking and I was suffering in my walk, believing thoughts and stories and all that, the old patterns. What I notice is there's new thoughts. So that's great. There's new thoughts along. So it might be 90% old thoughts, but hey, there was like 5 or 10% new thoughts. This is the change. And one of my new thoughts last night was, do I really want to change right now? Do I really want this? Because that wounded child or victim or whatever energy was active with the thoughts and stories. It was saying, it's too hard. I can't do this. Why is this happening again? I don't like this. I wish it was different. And then I had a moment of like, it's not about how. And I say this all the time. So the teacher most here, teaches what they need to know. It's not about how to overcome it. It's about, do I want to enough right now? And that brought up a really compelling idea of like, okay, we are addicted to our thoughts. And at the same, addiction can imply powerlessness, and also we do have choice at the end of the day. Nobody can take that away. One of my favorite Viktor Frankl quotes: you can take everything away from a person except their ability to choose their response. So I got to look at, wow, maybe right now I don't want to change badly enough to do it, or I would. Hi, seeds. Yeah, and that was a confronting truth. And then there was self-judgment. But one thing I can land on is that at least there's awareness. That's somewhere to go back to, because if I was, and how many people in the world still are, they don't even know there's a stream of consciousness that they're identifying with. And I'm not saying I'm better than them, it's just they're at a different place. At least there's an awareness. I see that going on. At least there's that. From there, there's hope, because there's awareness and choice within that. Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, and then bringing in that compassion. So Tara Brach, a book I love, is called, she wrote Radical Self-Acceptance. So see, it's like all of these tools, right? And that's why I said, in that moment, can you access those tools? How well and how quickly? If you're serious about this, Singer says, you will wake up in the morning and you will say, the most important, thing in my life is I am going to stay present and conscious, and no matter what happens, I am going to work with myself. I am not going to allow myself to go unconscious even for a second. That's what it requires. So it's like, yeah, good news, bad news. And we just work with ourselves, and we're not going to be perfect, and we're going to be messy, and we're going to be, we're going to do our best. And when we're not, from that level of thinking, we are doing our best. And it's just, this is it. Coming back to ourselves. Radical self-acceptance means in that moment of the judgment, of the waking up to the suffering and the stories, seeing, oh, I have the mindfulness being, I see it, I come into my body, I come into the moment, I come out of the stories, I feel my breath, I feel the air on my skin, my feet on the floor, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, I orient myself to this moment mindfully. And then I bring in self-compassion for my predicament. And it really is just about a surrender and a letting go. And not, I can easily get into striving and trying and efforting, but actually, you can do all this from a place of letting go. Relaxing and releasing. When a thought comes, oh, isn't that interesting? So it's the deepest work we can do. Hi, Duchess. So next time I want you to have a completed worksheet if you choose to participate. Yeah, the awareness, JE, you can't turn it off. It's a blessing and a curse sometimes. But if you don't have the awareness, then you're just suffering, and you're just totally identified, and you're suffering anyway. At least with the awareness, there's something more. So if you want to dive deeper into this, as I said, for those who haven't had any sort of session with me one-on-one before, I'm happy to offer. If you want me to facilitate the Judge Your Neighbor worksheet with you, which means you would fill it out and then we would go over it together, basically, you can send me a message. And I am going to do a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet on what I've been creating suffering around that's been very active in my field. So, we're all in this together, y'all. And when we do this, It's not just about us. We change the world when we do this. Yes, Nicole, that's what I was saying earlier, that I'm going to have this be like a mini live series, because the Little Booklet is short compared to my 2 other book series that are long. And so I'm going to look at same time next week for this, or around the same time, as well as my 2 other book series. I can't guarantee it, but follow me and then you'll see when the lives are published. And if anybody is, like committed to being here every time, then let me know your availability. You're welcome. I mean, it's my purpose, it's my mission, it's my dharma. There's no more important work we can do. There really isn't. So, hi Monica. Nikki, you can catch the replay. Don't worry. And I will do a separate playlist on my channel with these, and I have it already for the other 2 books. And I also have all my general live streams in a general playlist as well. I'm so glad you feel better, Tawana. Ooh, awesome, Danny. You're already reading. Oh, a book. I thought you meant the book, like a Byron Katie book. I'm so glad you're here. Glad you're excited. I want to point something else out before we go. Based on like y'all feeling different. And this is from Michael Singer as well, from his book, The Untethered Soul. Does anybody, how many of you know him, know that book, or don't? He gives an example in his book about we are all bliss, right? Our true nature is bliss. It's just covered up by all this shit. And he gives an example of what's possible by saying, okay, say your girlfriend or boyfriend breaks up with you and you were so in love and you are crushed and devastated. Can anybody relate to that besides me? And for like weeks you can't eat, you can't sleep, you're suffering. Oh, the heartache. Oh. Yeah. And then they call you out of nowhere. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Oh my God, you're the love of my life. Please take me back. Can I come over right now? Or they come over and they knock on the door and they have flowers, or let's get back together. I've missed you. I love you. So this is such a good example of what is in our energetic field and what's possible, right? When we are in the story, in the suffering, in the heartbreak, and we feel like we can't get out, and we feel like it's our only reality, and we're totally identified in believing the thoughts, and these thoughts are creating the energies and the stories, and we can't eat, we don't leave the house, blah, 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 blah. Then they come back, and then there's so much energy in the body. Oh my God, the heart's open. Oh my God, let's go out, let's go eat, I'm starving. Nothing was, it was all like inside here, right? The outside, we gave our power away to then affect the inside. So you can see like what's available. So for those of you, and I love it, that you're like, wow, I feel better. after this. I feel different. I feel lighter. You can see it's always here. That's our true nature. Michael Singer says it all the time. You can wake up giggling for life every day like a kid. That's what's possible. So you can see when this truth is presented, and it changes your state, because it's already here, and it's just about what we're perceiving, what we believe, we're projecting, we're thinking, we're believing, that's creating the suffering. So it's all available within you. It's not outside. That's why we love. That's why love is the biggest thing. We want to be in love, that experience of being in love, because it's opening up to what's already here. We only experience love in here, and we're using the person outside of us to facilitate accessing it in here. Well, that causes suffering, right? It's a dangerous game when we give our power away. And not to say don't experience that if it's here, and also realize we don't need another person ultimately to access that inside. And, I'm not saying any of this is easy, but it's the truth. So that's the journey. That's the ultimate journey. We fall in love, we love that. We feel we get attached to that person because they are opening something within us that's already here, that we're not able yet to create and access within our own being. Yeah. Very simple, not easy, and possible if you want it bad enough. So that's the thing. How bad do you want it? How bad have you suffered? Has it been enough? I mean, for me right now, I'm like, oh my fucking God, sweetie, bless your heart. Haven't you suffered enough? I guess not. And I get to not judge myself for that. We'll suffer till we're done. Suffering serves a purpose until it doesn't. Suffering is grace. And it only can happen right now. Just stop everything. That classic Bob Newhart scene. Just stop. Just stop. Danny, sounds like we're on a very similar path and journey. Not suffering in silence. Yeah, we cannot do this alone, but nobody can do it for you. Suffering lifetime after lifetime is not what you signed up for. Yeah. So we suffer lifetime after lifetime until we don't. Until we choose. And it takes the deepest level of commitment and the highest level of commitment. And there's a Michael Singer talk. It's called Your Highest Commitment, or the highest, something like that. I can send it. It really puts it into truth. And the thing is, honestly, for me, I don't know if I'm that committed. I don't know if I'm that serious about it to want to end my suffering in this lifetime. Because it takes the deepest, highest commitment that no matter what, moment by moment, second by second, that we have a level of presence and commitment to no matter what, not buy into and believe the stories, to not go unconscious. Singer talks about will. So I'll close with this story. It just keeps flowing. This is a great story in his teachings. And if you don't know who I'm talking about and you like what I'm saying, then check out Michael Singer. He did prison work for 30 years. And so he tells this story. This is one of probably my favorite story. He's talking to these life in prison guys. If somebody has life in prison, they haven't been so great about controlling themselves, right? In some ways. Because crimes are committed because people just do shit and they don't think, or whatever. There's something going on, right? Probably they don't have a lot of willpower, we can imagine. So he's talking to these prisoners, and he says, do you have the power to control yourself? Do you have the power to control your thoughts? How's your willpower? And the prison guys are like, well, we're in here for life. Like, hasn't been too great. And then he says, I'm going to do a thought experiment with you. I want you to imagine the most beautiful man or woman, whatever your preference is, the most beautiful woman you can imagine. This was whatever. Just be politically correct with it in your own mind. The most beautiful woman you've ever seen comes into the room naked and walks across the room. Could you not look? And these guys, they're never going to get out of prison. They're never going to see anything like that again. Could they not look? All the guys and the prisoners were like, no way, I'm never getting out of here. Of course I'm looking. There's no way I could not look at the beautiful woman. So then Michael Singer says, what if I had $1 million cash outside of this room, outside of this prison? There is a taxi waiting to take you to a private jet to your own private island in Hawaii, and you're getting a pardon from the governor, and you are completely free from your crime, and you are going to live in paradise with $1 million. Would you be able to not look at the beautiful woman? Of course, the prisoner's like, oh my God, I could not look. I wouldn't look. There's nothing that would make me look. If I could have that, I would not look. So do you see the power of that story? And what it's not about, is it possible? It's about your why and your willingness. Oh, you like that story too, Jessica? Yeah, and I mean, Heather, I get that, yes. And also for the sake of the story, like, it's pretty black and white story there. And it demonstrates that you do have control over your thoughts. Period. And guess what? Okay, the private island in Hawaii, the $1 million, the pardon, whatever that is for you, is possible when you commit to, not buying into the mind. Because what happens is then there's bliss. So Michael Singer and other teachers say. I have experienced it. I do have my own lived experience. However, it has been what they call non-abiding awareness, meaning that it's not a permanent state yet, but that's how it starts. There's glimpses. Ooh, there's a something. What is that? Oh, a dead little spider. Okay. Wow, that's a symbol. So, ooh, we say we can't do anything. It's not because of a lack of will, it's because our will is too strong. Ooh, psh, truth bomb. You are either aware, of it or you are not. So this is the gifts, this is the blessing. Everything is here to help you. This deep suffering. Because that's what happens. This awareness. Is the doorway to freedom. This is all here to help you. This is all here to give you what you want. We all want the things we want the relationship, we want the love, we want the $1 million, we want the house in Hawaii or whatever, because we want to feel a certain way. That's the only reason we want that stuff. So we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the only ones that hold the key to our freedom. We are the only ones in here, in our mind. We are the only ones that can make this conscious choice of will. It's good news, 100% responsibility, and it's bad news if you're not up for the challenge. Yeah. Singer has his memoir, The Surrender Experiment. Just surrender. Just fucking give it up. Just surrender. I want to not want. That is so deep. Do you see that the wanting to not want creates suffering? Hi, Louise. How beautiful. So then after all of this, we can just land. So let's land right now and just, it's all here to help us come to freedom. So whoever that person is, whatever that situation is, it's a gift. It's an invitation. Do it as an experiment. That's why surrender experiment. An experiment means having like a childlike curiosity in like not knowing how it's gonna turn out. It's like practice. Yes, Heather. And that's like a subtle layer. Sometimes I find, oh, I want to surrender so that I can feel better. That's okay, and still there's an attachment. I want to surrender, just a surrender, period. And that means I'm committed to however long it takes for me to be actively surrendering to what I'm resisting. It doesn't matter how long it takes, because I'm not doing it for an outcome. – 200 meditators. I love it. I'm so grateful for you all. I'm so grateful for Insight Timer. I'm so grateful for the teachings. Hi, Kiana. And this is helping me. As I told you, I've been creating my own suffering a lot in the past days. There's something coming in here of like it's okay. Just let go. Just release. There's nothing wrong. It's just the journey. Thank you, Nicole, Tawana, Monica. Yeah, I backtrack. That's the journey. It's okay. There's nothing wrong. Even in the deepest suffering, even in the nightmare of, oh my God, I know I shouldn't be believing the thoughts and stories, and I feel like I can't get out of it, and then, but I know I can, and even there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong. Y'all see the little butterfly in the background? Those are my thing. I was doing a Reiki training last night here in my place, and there was a butterfly at night up. There's a big high ceiling here. Yeah, we're all in this together. There's nothing wrong. Yeah, totally, Kiana. Yeah, blossom violet, banana trees. This is all wild back here. I'm in Bali. So I see you tomorrow for Saturday Night Live. We're going to draw cards. Time, good question. Let's see. 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time in America is my live stream tomorrow. Or tonight. Wait, it might be tonight for some of you, actually. Saturday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can orient. It's Sunday morning in Asia. Sydney time, it will be Sunday afternoon. If you follow me and then you'll get notifications when I schedule them. It'll be in your own time zone in the app. Hi, Dawn. Whew. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love to you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, God, Source, Spirit, guides, higher power, higher self, inner being, angels, archangels, gurus, ascended masters, saints, animal totems, spirit team, ancestors, all of our teachers. Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be blessed, may you be free from suffering. May we all be free from suffering.